Hello, I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
Sorry, I made myself laugh at that one. I'm Alex. And this is episode 36 of the RAGAMUFFIN Music Podcast. It's a place for us to talk about the music we love. Every month we get together, talk about the latest news, music and trends in the world of alternative music.
On this episode, we're reviewing brand new singles from Architects, While She Sleeps, Sum 41, and more.
And we'll be taking a look back at 2023.
End of the year already.
Wow,
Can you believe
it's
it?
flown by.
Who'd have thought?
Not me.
But as always, we start by talking about last episode's album recommendations. James, what did you recommend?
I recommended the brand new Gnosis EP, The Eternal Doom, after seeing them at supporting, Stray from the Path. Fell in love. I was like, let's check out this new EP. I thought it banged, but did you?
Yeah, it feels like it's a great EP. It does feel like you can tell it's a new band. You can tell they're kind of experimenting a bit, trying to figure things out, but that's what EPs are for, I think, is to try and just sort of experiment with things, find out what you're trying to do with things. I think the second track of the three was my favourite, mainly because of all the kind of drum and bass influences and the changes in tempo and things like that. There was a few moments on track 3, there was a few sort of hardcore style grooves and things, which I thought were really cool. But yeah, a cracking EP, I thought.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's just a perfect sort of entry point for the band. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Perfect blend of like metalcore and some hardcore elements, electronic elements. Really, really fun. Really fun.
What
I
do you
recommended No Love Lost by Year of the Knife. Missed it when it came out in October or November, so thought we'd talk about it now.
I found it musically perfect. A lot of just things you just want to hear in like hardcore music in particular. Like it just worked, blended, everything like that. I struggled with the vocals, and after a few listens in particular, I started to get into it more. But initially, just the tone of it was a little off-putting to me personally. And like I say, on the repeat listens, I was like, maybe just getting used to it at that point. But initially, yeah, it was a bit of a standoff for me. It grew on me. And it was a very easy listen to kind of just go through from start to finish. So I'll say that. But maybe I need to listen to more Year of the Knife. First time delving into them, so coming out from a brand new perspective for me. So yeah, it was all right.
I mean, like a knife, it's very short but very sharp. It kind of gets straight to the point, digs straight in, goes straight for the jugular. Because it's just relentless from start to finish, really. Even though it's quite short, which is obviously normal for a hardcore album, I suppose. It's just high energy throughout. I just agree with James on the vocals. I think they were brilliant. I think they were kind of exactly what the album needed. And yeah, just a relentless sort of, I can't remember how long it is, 25 minutes, half an hour of
Around that, yeah.
Of excellent hardcore.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. No fucking around, no frills. It was, yeah, just perfect, tried and true hardcore. I thought, yeah, just frenetic and like kind of all over the place, but in a way that you could kind of understand, but also it was like still kept you on your toes. So I thought it was, yeah, really well crafted. They've got some really, really sick riffs in their whole catalogue, but on this album especially, just like brilliant riffs. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't mean this in a way to put pressure on them because I don't know what the road to recovery is like for them, but if they could be on something like Outbreak next year, I think that'd be huge. And I think
They'd fit right in.
I think people would love that. So whenever we do see Year of the Knife, I can't wait.
And we'll be vlogging it when it happens. So subscribe if that's something you want to see.
Absolutely.
And
Dan, you recommended?
I recommended Olivia Rodrigo's brand new album, Guts. Let's start with Alex, because we know what he'll think of this.
I've been waiting for this since it got recommended. Well, Dan told me 2 episodes ago, off air, that this is what he was going to recommend. I think this album is just super fun. Like, I think it's just a brilliant sort of blend of like, really sort of just like perfectly crafted pop with like, I think people use like the term like gateway artist as a negative thing, but there's some like gateway pop punk elements on this album that I think are perfect for people that are into pop to get into pop punk. Like, people could listen to this and then go and listen to like Riot by Paramore. the same way that like Avril Lavigne did it in the 2000s. And I think like lyrically, this album is funnier and like wittier, but also a lot more concise and well written than Sour. Like there's lyrics all over this that either are like quite painful on some of the ballads, but also like some really funny lines on some of the more upbeat songs.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the album's summarized by like some of the lyrics in All American Bitch, where she says, "I know my age and I act like it." Because I think like there are quite a lot of people, especially after the first album, who were like their critique was that it was a bit immature.
Oh, she's immature.
Yeah,
it's just like in her very early 20s still. I mean, at the time she would have been like 18 or 19, to be fair.
And I think she's maybe 20, 21 now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a fun, youthful, like angry album. I think, and I can understand why it resonates with a lot of people. And I think it's fun.
Yeah, I love it too. The main reason I recommended it though is because I was really intrigued as to what James might think.
And you're both just like very
So
interested. I'm not sure.
we turn to James now, hopefully.
I'm hoping for the best, expecting the worst.
Probably accurate. I went into this fully like open to it all, and I get a lot of the points you made. In particular, like I see the gatewayness, I see all of that. I see like the comparisons you're making to Avril Lavigne and things like that.
I think there's a but coming out.
There is a but. I found it a bit too high schooly, in a way, if that makes sense, and it feels a bit like listening to it, like great songwriting with it. It feels very much aimed at like your 16, 17-year-olds. And so for me, like I felt like I'm too old for this. And so it felt like there was a barrier for me to kind of...
Too good for it, more like.
Maybe I am. I said I'm too good for it. But it felt like there's a bit of a barrier for me to like really, I guess, immerse myself in the songs. And so immediately, like I couldn't feel like I could connect as much as maybe I wanted
not
to
relatable.
try. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when like singing stuff like about like kind of the high school times, I'm like, fuck me, that was like 12, 13 years ago for me at this point. Like I can't relate to this anymore in the fucking slightest. But then for me, from a nostalgic point, I had the Avril Lavigne, the Busted, which are kind of is in a similar aspect. That was me.
That's
all
what
that
I was.
time
That's
ago.
what I was looking for. I was thinking
Exactly.
there's kind of some
So I
Avril
can see
and
it,
Busted vibes.
and like
in
for
this.
me, that was a great pathway to then like Green Day and then Not and heavy music and shit. So I can see how that is this is a perfect pathway kind of thing to get people into that music, and you can hear like those pop punk elements really well. Songs are crafted fantastically, I think, but it's not for me. I couldn't enjoy it to that degree, whereas I could still go back, maybe for my nostalgic reasons, listen to an Avril Lavigne, listen to a Busted, but I can see the comparisons here, what it's doing, and appreciate it for that fact. But that's about it. So actually, to be fair,
Nice.
like, that's kind of positive.
That's pretty positive. I
That's,
thought.
that's surprisingly positive.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I'll be honest. It's about what I expected.
Yeah.
We are going to move on to the new songs, the new reviews, a few new singles this month. But right at the front end here, we have launched something recently, if you do not know, which is the Ragamuffin Club. The link is in the description of the video. Come and join us. Starting a little community here, because we get comments on the YouTube channel. Not always a great forum for kind of having a discussion amongst things.
The comments are great. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
We do read them, but it's not always easy to have a proper chat and a debate. Whereas
Exactly.
somewhere we can do that, and where you can post in there as well, is in the Ragamuffin Club Facebook group.
Exactly. Press that link. Come join. Come chat with us. Talk about new music. Our awards are about to come out in the next few weeks after this. So listen to it. Enjoy. Let us know what you think of music this year in particular. Let us know what you think of the reviews from this podcast in particular. Come join the club. Come join the group. Be a Ragamuffin. And we'll have some fun.
Let's dive into some new music. Woohoo! Oh,
That's me. That's the sound of me diving.
Going off the cliff. Sounds like jumping off a cliff.
Woohoo! We'll see how that comes out in the edit. I don't think Alex saw what I did there.
No, I just saw it in my peripheral.
Just the corner of his eye.
I moved the mic away slowly to make it sound like I was falling off into the distance.
Okay, Tazon Day. Starting off with the third single from Casey's upcoming album, we have Bite Through My Tongue.
That album's coming pretty soon now as well.
Next month.
Yeah.
But
Dare I make a bold point about this song?
go on. You
So
make a
this
bold
is a
point.
top 3 Casey song.
Oh.
I'm going to agree with you right there.
You
I love
agree?
this. I really
I
like
think this is honestly one of their best songs. I think it's brilliant.
This felt to me weirdly like a warm blanket.
Yes.
I felt like I immersed myself in this song really, really well. Like a weird sense of like comfort. There were just so many great things I found, like musically. The drum sections I think were really well thought out and nice, like transitioning from toms to then 16th notes between the different verses. That was really nice. Vocally, I think it was interesting, the styles that he used, where like the first half of the first chorus, you hear the screams the first time like he's trying to release something, and then the bridge just felt like it was fully opening up emotionally with that, with the lyrics and with the performance. I found it just a really kind of weirdly beautiful song, and yeah, a slight hint of like unraveling and a breakdown with it, and yeah, a lot of emotion, and like I say, weirdly, like I could just feel myself just being pulled into it and absolutely falling in love with it. So I'm a massive fan of this.
I think something I really like about this song is that it kind of doesn't stick to a particular formula. Like you've got Casey songs of the past where you could easily sort of place sort of screaming through the verses and then a clean chorus and then screaming again into a breakdown towards the end perhaps. Whereas this, it kind of, like James mentions, there's like screams in there, but they're kind of placed correctly. They're placed where they need to be. There's cleans in there. Like I think this sounds a bit like an old You Me at Six song at times.
Yeah, in a good way.
But it's still yeah. I like old You Me at Six.
Yeah, I don't like new You Me at Six.
But it's still categorically a Casey song. You can just tell from like the emotion that comes across through it. But yeah, I think that's my biggest compliment for this song is where they're kind of using the right tools in the right places.
Yeah. I think,
and this is probably the last single we get before this album drops as well.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it to drop. Oh boy,
it's gonna be good. I think I was like selfishly quite worried to a degree when they started releasing new music, because I was concerned that like I was personally in a different emotional place than I was when I listened to Casey a lot as a teenager.
Yeah.
They would be in a different place emotionally, and I didn't know how it would resonate with me now. But like every song has been more and more like affirming to me. And this is like the ultimate like build of all of that, where it's like, I don't know, it's perfect. Like there's still obviously like he's singing about things that are painful, but there's like a level of acceptance and like
understanding kind of where you're at.
Yeah, and like internal calm within these songs, despite them being heavy songs, that's like quite reassuring. Like you said, I think when you said that this song's like a warm blanket, I think that's perfect. I think this is just like just brilliant. Yeah.
I think with this, the theme on the new song seems to be a bit more like, if you compare it to the previous two albums, it's things are shit, and that was about it. Like things are devastatingly awful, and that was kind of the message in the last two albums. Whereas on this one, it's like things aren't great, but it's fine. It's going to be all right.
Like acceptance.
This seems like a bit more of a shit happens, we'll move on kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Very excited for
which again is great to see a band grow. Like I think the whole reason they gave for ending the band in the first place was that they kind of weren't in that headspace anymore. So it was kind of insincere to A, make any new music about it, and B, continue performing that music. But
I think it'd be very mentally draining to kind of go back
exactly,
to
revisit that
moments.
that space every time. Whereas obviously like Alex mentioned, they've kind of grown as well. So they've got different worries now, new things to sing about, a new message to carry.
Moving on, we got another new single from Trashboat called Liar Liar. I had mixed feelings about this when I first heard it. Don't know. I didn't click with it. I thought it sounded a bit kind of juvenile and then it was the instrumentals more that have kept me coming back to this.
That's exactly it for me. I think the lyrics, I can kind of see past it. It's a bit like with Don Broco at times. Like, the lyrics aren't brilliant. Trashboat, they have had some excellent lyrics in the past, but Broco, you know that it's the lyrics aren't going to be great, or they're just going to be having a bit of fun, which I guess is what Trashboat have done with this one. It's a bit of fun with. I guess a bit of a message in there as well to a degree. But it's the instrumentals on this song that are the one that gets you going, and it gets you going as well, for real.
There's one moment that just before the breakdown where the drums and the guitars
It slows down to that chug.
doing something, and it honestly it sounds like something from Slipknot's debut. When I heard it, I was like, "This is ridiculous.
I
This
think
is so cool."
There's
but-
something about the first couple of verses in that first chorus as well, which immediately when I first heard it, I was like, "This is a Beartooth song."
Yeah.
It gave me massive
Yeah.
Beartooth vibes straight off the bat.
Wow.
What I do love about sorry, James.
No. Just hearing that comparison's just, yeah,
Just knocked you for six.
it has. Go on.
What I do love about Trashboat is that they have an incredible like versatility and range. So like I'm not like, you know, I don't know. I mean this in like a positive way, but like I'm not bothered that I'm not that fussed on this song.
Yeah, because
Because
you
I
know that
know
you'll like
that-
the next one.
I know the next one's going to be great, or
Yeah.
like there's such an extensive catalogue that's so varied that they can kind of do anything. I think that's not good for them. They've like built that wide creative like box to move within. So
Yeah, I think something that's commendable about them as well is not only did they keep trying different things and essentially just make whatever the fuck they want. Often the trend you see with bands is they'll start at a certain level and then they'll gain some popularity, and then usually they'll get a bit softer or put a bit more melody, simplify the songs a bit, try to appeal to a wider audience. Trashboat are doing essentially the complete opposite. They started as like a sort of a 4-chord pop punk band, which again, loved those EPs in the first album. Probably from a personal perspective, my favourite Trashboat stuff.
yeah,
But I'm still with them on this journey. I still love what they put out to this day, and they seem to just have gradually sort of gone out, not to offend people, but to make people think about what they're listening to. Their songs aren't easy to listen to.
yeah.
They'll always chuck like either some weird like time signatures or just some random breakdowns and stuff in there. But yeah, it's easy for a band to just go, "Oh, let's start making some poppier stuff." But they've gone, "No, let's just put a breakdown in here.
Why not?
Let's put a rap verse in this bit. Let's get a feature on. I'm gonna do like the heaviest scream you've ever heard in this one. I'm gonna do a bit of a Chester from Linkin Park in this bit."
But that's the thing. Like, I agree with you from the lyrical point of view, but then you just look at the vocal performance.
Oh yeah,
Toby sounds
He's
fucking
fantastic. He's
incredible,
brilliant. Yeah,
and the versatility in himself, let alone just like the styles of music they can cover, but the versatility in his vocals and how good he is sounding is something astonishing. And like with this kind of heavier version in particular, it works just so well. I feel like it's just like packed with a lot of adrenaline in the song as well. It's like fast paced from the get go, and it's like it's taking you along for the ride with it. Bridge section I found beautifully groovy. Like it's kind of gonna get head bobbing just throughout. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Like aside from that lyrical perspective, because I do agree with you. But musically, I'm all here for it. Big fan.
Also, I think once I hear it live, I'll be.
Yeah.
all
Oh,
in.
this is
So
going
I'm
to
not.
be a live
I'm not
song.
really too bothered. Like,
from clips I've seen, it seems to be going down very well live on
It's
the
gonna
Don
fucking
Broco
go
tour.
off.
Ironically,
funny that.
It will go off.
Has he actually done his neck in, or is that just like a little joke?
no, I think he actually did.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Because again, seems like something Don Broco would do. Next up, we've got Dream State with Anxious State of Mind. What do we think of this one?
I think it's a wonderfully catchy song. And I think Jesse's performance is fantastic.
Yeah,
I think the versatility in that vocal performance, in particular, just for one part of it, is amazing. And I made a note that the scream she does at 1 minute 14 seconds, coming out of that first chorus, I stopped, I paused it, I went back and had to re-listen to it like 2 or 3 times, because like the build coming into it and then the duration of it absolutely blew me away, and I found that phenomenal to listen to. I feel like the song is very cleverly written, that the progressions through the different sections are fantastic. It feels effortless. The melody throughout the chorus has stuck in my head, and it's just everything I kind of wanted to hear coming up to this mini album coming out in January. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, I really like the kind of electronic sort of synthy sort of vibe they've got going on in the background on this song as well. Because for the intro, it kind of takes a centre stage, and then it kind of drops back when all the other instruments sort of seem to come in. And again, Jess's vocal performance as well. When we chat to her on an episode of A Perfect Gig, she mentioned how available on the channel now, and also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
He's a pro, ladies and gentlemen.
She mentioned, and now we've addressed it, and we're less professional. She mentioned how she was like a classically trained vocalist back in the day, and that versatility in the vocals shines through in this. There's bits where there's the cleans and kind of her voice kind of drifts through the verses and things, and then it builds up to, again, sort of the low screams and everything as well towards the rest of, not only towards the end, but through near enough the rest of the song from that point in. Yeah, I really like this, and I'm looking forward to hearing it live in Jan or February, whenever it is, at the start of the year.
The start of the year.
The next one is Down by While She Sleeps. What did we think, boys?
I thought this was a fantastic improvement from Self Hell. This is kind of back to a bit more familiar, quintessential Sleeps metalcore sound, which I think is very distinct to them. Chorus in particular, again, melodically and lyrically has just stayed with me. It's like when it all kind of peaks, and they can really make a song peak in a chorus sometimes. I think that has come together nicely. Sean's leads coming out the second chorus, I think it is, just before the breakdown. Just, it's the stuff I want to hear in a Sleep song. I think the feature from Alex from Alev is fantastic, and does fit in with the song well. Ends the song quite on a strong note. A nice flow to it. Heavy breakdowns, kind of what I want from Sleeps in particular. It feels like Self Hell made me a little bit apprehensive about the album in March. Yeah. This has now put me a little bit more back at ease. It's not the best Sleep song I've heard or anything like that, because I think especially the stuff they did on Sleep Society was fantastic, blew me away, and was like a level up in their game. This is really good and much better, but I think there's going to probably be stuff that's going to come out or going to be on the album that will be like, okay, this is what I want, and this is the level up to go from the next album. So yeah, much more positive.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where I'm at with this song as well. I think if South Hell didn't come out before it, I'd probably be a bit underwhelmed with this. I'd probably be like, well,
yeah,
it's all right. It's definitely a Sleep song, but they could do better. But because of how disappointed we were in South Hell, how it wasn't necessarily a bad song, but just wasn't for us, wasn't quite our thing. To then have this song come out after it, it's a bit more of, like James said, it's kind of back on track. It's kind of steering it back into the direction that we, I guess, would prefer, and a kind of a bit more at ease with. But as a song on its own, it's okay. Like, far like lower than what I think Sleeps are capable of. I think they can do a lot better. I think the feature is the main sort of draw of this song. I think that's the main thing to kind of keep you going back to this one. So yeah, fair play, Alex, and fair play to Sleeps as well for kind of the placement of the feature, which is something we've talked about with Sleeps before. Yeah, I don't think I've got much more to say about it, really.
I think this song's really fun. I think it is like every element of Sleeps like on point. I think one thing I really like about it is, do you remember in GCSE music the term word painting?
Yeah.
Which is essentially when the music reflects what is said in the lyrics. And I like the fact that when at the start, after they say "you're bringing me down," they then sing the word down, and the notes descend.
Yeah.
Like little things like that, I think, are what sort of make this song tick for me. Like that lead line
is very, very
stupid.
Nice.
It's ridiculous, but yeah, I think this one was really fun. I think if this had been released first and then Self Hell, I think both songs would have kind of made more sense to people. I feel like this is a better bridge from like what we know of like recent Sleeps to what Self Hell is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me. Yeah, definitely.
But at the end of the day, like we ended up seeing Self Hell live, and it was really, really fun.
My perspective on it changed.
And I would love
after
to
seeing
see
it
this live. So
yeah, I think this would be great. I do also think during this, Loz sounds fantastic. I think his vocal performance on it is extremely, extremely strong. So I was impressed with that as well. But yeah, I do agree. Seeing this live, I think would again change my perspective even more.
Yeah, I do think as well. Even though we haven't been particularly mind blown by these two singles, there's a part of me that has this weird optimism that because of the experimentation that they're doing, that this new album is going to be.
I think it's going to be very diverse.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be
like
lots of
an
different
absolute
flavours.
gem on there. I've just got this hunch.
Little preview for awards, because I'm sure we're going to look ahead maybe more to 2024 when we get round to it. Little prediction potentially, I think they could be in with like a artist of the year kind of thing. With the album, if it lands well, with the download mains like big slot they've got, I think there could be a lot of things that could really come together and make 2024 a year where Sleeps become bigger players, a bit like I think after Holy Hell for Architects was like the transition point for them to be like some of the peak of not just British metalcore, but metalcore in general. I think that could be something next year that happens to Sleeps where they step up into like the big leagues more. But yeah, we'll discuss that more another time. Sum 41 have released Rise Up. This is the second track from the upcoming Heaven and Hell, which is coming out in January. Double album, 10 songs of metal-ish, 10 songs of pop-punk. I thought this was quite nice. It was like, for probably the one out of the three of us that's listened to more of the most recent Sum 41, this is kind of some of the better of it as well, where it's fast, energetic. They like to play into some of their slight metal elements, which for the most part it's probably some fast riffing, some double bass patterns, bits and pieces like that with the up-tempo-ness. So you kind of have to lean into that with this song in particular. It doesn't blow me away, but I think it's a fantastically solid song. I think the structure's fantastic. And it's more, I think, from me not focusing on the song in itself, but knowing that Sum 41 are coming to an end next year and how much I've grown up listening to them and how important they've been for me, like, as a band. It was more just listening to this so much and maybe enjoying it out of reflection that this is ending. And so I think I've grown more attachment to the song and the energy throughout it and tried to like really, I guess, bond with the song in a way, because I know I'm not going to keep getting many new Sum 41 songs in the years to come. So I think my perception and my relationship with the song may be slightly different to you two in that regard.
Yeah, that was really nice, James. I don't have any feeling towards this song whatsoever. I guess they're a band that don't really have anything to prove. They're coming to an end. So they almost have a bit of freedom, I guess, to kind of do whatever they want. Hence why they're kind of releasing a double album of essentially a double genre. To me, this is neither a great song nor a bad song. It's just a song. It's just something that exists for me. Probably won't revisit it too often. It'll turn up in a playlist every now and then, I'm sure. But yeah, neither good nor bad. But it's there. It's fine. I'm glad other people are enjoying it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm on the edge of my seat for this double album, but I'm certainly sat figuratively. I mean, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what this double album's like, but I'm not dying for it. Do you know what I mean? So.
No, it's an album that I'm interested to hear. It's not like my most apprehensive album that I'm looking forward to next year in the slightest. There's like a lot more like material that's coming out next year that I'm more intrigued by, but it just feels like, I wonder if can I equate it to a band that either of you, I don't know, kind of grew up with. I don't know if either of you can think of a band that you kind of grew up listening to a fair bit, because I listened to a lot of the Sum 41 albums after. Most people just had like All Killer and maybe some of Does This Look Infected, whereas I had more after that. I had Underclass Hero, I had Chuck, I had all those kind of things that I listened to a lot. So I don't know if either of you guys can think of a band that are around that if they said, we're releasing our last album next year, and all the singles you're going to kind of maybe have some different relationship to.
Yeah, it'd be like Amity Affliction. Because like, obviously everyone was into Chasing Ghosts and Let the Ocean Take Me, but I listened to every album and love every album.
So if they came out and said their last album's coming out next year,
yeah, I would be like, oh my God, I want to hear it. So yeah, I understand what you mean.
And the last one we've got is Seeing Red by Architects.
Fucking hell.
What a song to finish on, eh? I'm
Heavy
gonna start this
Architects are
with.
back.
I'm gonna start this with. I like the bit where the guitars go.
I think let's just leave the review there.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, can I have one thing?
There's other bits I like. About the song.
I like the bell hit, like by Are You Happy Now? That one, that's perfect. That's fantastic.
Well, the one that sounds like a cash register.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think as British people who also like the UK...
British people.
British.
As British people who like the UK office and sarcasm, this song is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is like, fucking fine, there's a heavy song. But also, it's one of their best songs in like recent memory. So I don't know, maybe keep
This
writing
is my
It's-
favourite thing they've released since For Those That Wish to Exist.
That's why it's a weird one for us because
Yeah.
every time Architects have been brought up on this podcast over the past like 2 or 3 years, we've said, yeah, new stuff's not really for us, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But now this song's come out, we're lapping it up. We're like, fuck yeah, this is exactly what we want from Architects.
But
the boys are back.
The thing with that though, like,
but it's funny because the song's essentially about us.
but
then.
not really.
We've not given
the people that have said so much shit
the waves
online.
are going way over the top.
Wow. The people that have said the shit online that have said the most horrible things regarding Tom and said that he would be disgusted in that the people that have slated them badly for it and actually sent abuse to them, this is where it's aimed at.
Yeah.
Those people.
Yeah,
We're happy.
that's
We're
true.
like, you guys, create the music you want to do. Anyone that wants to. We don't have to enjoy it. Progress as a band. You do you guys. You do you. And we'll maybe be part of the journey. But
Fucking love this.
yeah, this is sick.
Um,
And like, can we mention there's a bleh within like the first like 20 seconds or so?
I would say now, aside from the award show, this is Blair of the Year.
oh yeah.
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 Well, that's the whole thing about this song is like, you can tell like things like that. Like they've obviously sat in the studio and gone, we need to get a Blair in as quick as possible for a laugh. And but everyone's lapping it up. Like I'm there
Oh,
going, oh my fucking god,
Yeah.
I love it.
I'd love
The same
to know
with like
if
that.
in their
Are you
group
happy
chat,
now? I think in my head, every time I hear that, I go, yes.
Yeah.
I'd love to hope they've got a group chat
I'd love to
where
see the group
they've
chat
seen
of
the
them
reaction on
talking
Twitter
about
and they're like, they fucking fell for it, guys. Because they've just put everything that people expected or wanted to hear, they've just done it.
Yeah. It's like, do you remember when For Those That Wish to Exist came out and people were saying that Architects were getting a bit too political?
Yep.
Like, I wonder if those same people are hearing this song going, yeah, this is brilliant, and not quite realising that the song is about them.
Yep. 100%. I mean, that stuff with the lyrically and some people not understanding it and just kind of seeing those reactions on Twitter has just made me laugh so much. Going to the actual song, like Sam's performance, as we've said multiple times, is fucking incredible. Again, just showing the diversity, the versatility of his voice.
The great thing on this, the lows. Like he's always been like championed as being like one of the best like high screamers in the business.
And we hear those lows,
but
more
the growls
live.
on this are brilliant.
We heard he'll drop in those lows at various times in live performances, but they don't really have that too much on record. And now introducing it, I remember the first time hearing it, I was just like, "What the fuck?" And just having that versatility, and then still going to the song chorus, which is melodically
Massive chorus
beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's just so pleasing to hear. Like that complete diversity throughout the track is amazing. And my other thing I want to note out is the drum performance. I think Dan absolutely kills it. It provides such a phenomenal backbone to the song throughout. And I feel like he's really gone for more experimentation behind the kit with some of the fills, with some of the beats that he's doing. It's a lot more, I'm like at the forefront, maybe in the mix as well. Really, really enjoyed that as part of the track, and it stands out immensely to me.
Yeah, that's about it. It's a very, very late Song of the Year contender.
We are happy now.
Yeah.
Right then, upcoming releases. January has snuck up with some actual fucking good ones, to be fair. So,
It's been a while since we've had a really good album.
I know. Well, we might have a few.
What do you mean? Take That came out this month. Okay,
Alex with a special review coming to the RAGAMUFFIN Club soon.
Club only.
January 12th, Casey with How to Disappear.
Woo, baby.
January 19th, we have Green Day with Saviours. And we also have Neck Deep with their self-titled.
Oh, that's snuck up on us, isn't it?
Exactly. January 26th, Frank Carrot and the Rattlesnakes with Dark Rainbow.
Cheeky.
And then also on the 26th, Dream State with Still Dreaming.
That's going to be fucking sick, isn't it?
This is a big month. A nice way to start 2024. What are you most excited to listen to out of those?
I can't pick between Dream State and Casey. So that's my answer. No, I will not.
I'm really looking forward to the Casey one, but because Alex has already said it, I'm very intrigued about the Neck Deep one. I said on the last episode how these singles feel like a bit more of like an older Neck Deep vibe.
Like a resurgence.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely getting me much more excited for it than I thought I would be. So I'm very intrigued for that. And we're going to Ali Pally.
Exactly. March, I think.
February.
Yeah,
I think so.
You going now, you done?
Yeah.
You going, Jay?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know.
Probably not.
Knuckle Pucker supporting, mate.
Oh, yeah. And Drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I will.
That took a lot of convincing.
Sold.
Didn't it? I think all three of the ones you said, I think they're the main top contenders for me. I'm excited about all of them. It's a good month to start the year.
And we've already said we're excited for the Dream State one.
Yes. Alex said that as well. Dream State, Casey, and that was the upcoming releases.
Before we move on, I just need to leave the room quickly for no reason. I hope I don't miss anything while I'm gone. etc.
Is that Santa Claus?
Ho bloody ho! It's me again.
Hello, Danza Claus.
It's that time of year, is it, Santa Claus?
Oh, it is. I hear you've been good boys this year.
Is that
Oh,
Danza
Christ.
Claus with a muffled beard for an audio only podcast?
That's right. Let me just put my lips up a bit. And there you go. Is that a bit clearer?
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Good. Are you filming or are you just taking a photo?
I've just done a photo, and then Alex can put it into the podcast. So
I was
you
go-
can all be blessed
yeah,
to see Santa Claus.
And we can put that in the RAGAMUFFIN. You can put that in the RAGAMUFFIN club.
Yeah, because you're not in the Ragamuffin.
Facebook
Yeah,
group.
Santa Claus. You should join
Yeah,
the
why haven't you
Ragamuffin
joined
Club.
Danza Claus?
You should join the Ragamuffin Club on Facebook.
No, ho ho. I'm not in the RAGAMUFFIN club.
Why have you come to visit us, Santa Claus?
I hear you've been very good boys.
Oh, crap, you're going past me, Santa Claus.
Yes, I'm gonna put this down.
Oh, my word. We've been blessed, Alex.
He's walking across the room, listeners.
I'm going over to my sack. This is your name on it, Alex.
Oh, thanks, Danza Claus. If it's something Pharrell Williams based, I'm going to lunge across this room at you. Oh, fuck. I can't believe this. I am currently opening up oh, hell yeah. An Everybody Backstreet's Back t-shirt. 90s style retro. Thank you, Danza Claus.
You're
just what I wanted.
welcome, mate. James,
Thank you.
Yours isn't wearable. I've booked a special guest to come, and he's hiding behind the TV.
Oh, Christ. Okay, I'm going to get up and have a look then. I'm worried. Oh, my God. I just saw the face. Oh, thank you.
Who is it, James?
It's what, half a meter Robbie Williams cardboard cutout. Thank you,
damn
Santa
right
Claus.
it is.
That's
Probably-
what I've always wanted for Christmas.
Probably
I
Candy
knew
era.
it was.
Candy era? I don't know, if I'm honest. But you know what?
Do.
Do. Alex, go.
I was there to witness.
That's getting
I feel
copyright
like
claimed.
I'm
Well,
gonna-
so I hear. I don't know anything about YouTube. I'm just Santa Claus.
You're just Santa Claus. I'll tell you what I'll do is, I feel like if kind of cut a bit through the bottom, when we go to the families for Christmas, we'll put them on top of the tree.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. You don't have a Christmas tree in here, James?
No, I don't. I couldn't be asked about Christmas decorations. A lot of effort.
That's a bit depressing, isn't it?
It is, but here we go anyway.
Oh,
Well,
Danza
it's
Claus.
a shame I didn't see Dan again
No,
this
you
year.
seem to keep missing him whenever,
I know.
whenever you come by. But we'll pass on your best anyway.
I better go, ho ho.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Goodbye, boys. Good luck with the rest of the podcast.
Goodbye, Dan Claus.
Bye, Dan
Thank you very
Claus.
much.
Thank you.
Oh, it's hot in there. I'm back, boys.
We'll maybe put photos of what Dan Claus got us
Dan's
in
back,
the
hey.
Ragamuffin group.
Oh, Dan
in the
Claus
club.
came
Yeah, you
Did I
missed
miss
him
him
again.
again?
Oh man.
every time, man.
Well,
Maybe one
Every
year.
time.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he'll stop by and you'll still be here at that point. Where you kind of just disappeared. I don't know where you've gone, to be fair.
He said he's not a Ragamuffin Club member. Can
I
you
know,
believe
I'm disappointed. So, like,
I thought I didn't see him in there.
no,
Bastard.
he needs to get in that group. It's not good enough, really. I expect better from Dan Claus.
We'll have to have words. We'll
We
write a
will.
letter.
However, he's come and brought me and Alex some nice gifts, so.
I'm chuffed. I'm pulling up to Bryony's on Christmas Day in this.
Gig talk then.
Gig talk.
It's
Been some big ones.
It has. Like, weirdly, towards the end of the year, I didn't think anything was coming, and then we had gigs. First read of Mice and Men in Oxford. That was lovely to see a band of that kind of calibre play Oxford. Never expected. However, it was a lovely evening.
We've kind of been spoiled with bands coming to Oxford at
I
times
know,
this year. We
yeah.
had Holding Absence at the start of the year. Trivium have been here. And now of Mice and Men.
It was cool. Like, watch the vlog now. That's up on the channel. A great set. I really enjoyed Caskets as well. Didn't get a chance to see Defects because work and arriving a bit late. But would have liked to have seen them anyway. It was nice to be in an Oxford venue again and just see so many happy people enjoying it, having a great time, loving music, loving metalcore, singing along, crowd surfing, mosh pits. It had everything.
I think the thing with Oxford and heavy music is that heavy bands don't really come around too often, but when they do, it's appreciated and people make the effort and go out of their way to show their appreciation.
They're starting to show up more for it, which is lovely.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
the shit we want to see with it, and that will only be helped with more heavy bands coming to Oxford. So
Hopefully so, yeah.
if you give it to us, we'll be there.
But yeah, the gig itself was excellent. Caskets, I think we've mentioned before, there's almost this unspoken rule that you've got to see a band like 2 or 3 times sometimes before you kind of fully get it.
And I don't count download because of the sound effects on
Yeah,
that to walk
we
away
exclude
from it.
download.
So it's been like a first time almost.
Yeah, I mean, it literally was my first time seeing them. Yeah, I do like them. I like what they're doing. I just needed a bit more of them, I think.
Yeah.
But then maybe I'll sort of cave in and be like, oh yeah, all right,
Go
they are
on.
brilliant. But no, I did enjoy them a lot. But they were definitely overshadowed by Mice and Men.
I think that set was just incredible. I think I went into it with slightly lower expectations, potentially, just not knowing what to kind of happen and unfold in the evening. Like, being that size, usually, and like you said to me earlier on, like a main stage band, potentially, at Download.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
And-
last time I saw them was main stage
Yeah,
at Download
just-
Festival.
Was really unaware of like what to expect out of it, and yeah, really blew me away. I think Aaron sounded fantastic vocally, in particular. Anyway, they sounded tight as hell live. I think the mix in the O2 for it was actually really good. I think that was fantastic to see. So, yeah,
I think it's always nice when a band's self-aware as well.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is usually in like the setlist curation, there's like a pretty good mix of old and new stuff there. Even though most of the members of the band haven't been around since sort of the set, or kind of they've all sort of joined at different times along the way. But there was still kind of an appreciation of the fans will want to hear Second and Sebring.
yeah,
The fans will want to hear OG Loco.
yeah.
So-
of course.
They're playing those songs
Yeah,
and playing them very well.
and then
Cover
afterwards-
band or not.
cover band or not? Yeah, true. What did you go and see the next day, Dan?
The very next day, I went back to the same building, but in the room below, to see the Front Bottoms. It's another situation, I guess, of bands like that. I know the Front Bottoms aren't a metal band, but bands of like that kind of size within the alternative scene don't really come around to Oxford. So again, it was quite short notice as well. So good to see a pretty packed out room for an alternative band. Although I guess with some sort of indie crossover. My main takeaway was just the sing-alongs, how every single song, everyone was singing every single word, including someone stood behind me who wasn't very good at singing. But hey-ho, that's all part of the fun. He was clearly a passionate fan. And yeah, something I did find quite funny was they did a kind of request section towards the middle,
Okay.
which on the face of it is nice because it's a bit like, oh, the fans are choosing the songs. But then once they've done about 5 of them, it has you questioning, so, like, are they actually taking requests, or are they just sort of looking around the crowd and going, yeah, oh, what song do you want to hear next? Oh, yeah, that's what we've got next on the set list. We'll pick that one.
Whether it's genuine or not.
But whether it's genuine or not, it's still a way to make the crowd feel included.
Yeah,
and
true.
make it feel like a special night. And to be fair, it was, I think, one of my favourite performances of the year. I enjoyed every second of that show. It was a reminder of what a great band the Front Bottoms are, how many absolute bangers they have. And again, songs from every album. It wasn't just the new stuff. It was all the classics. A few sort of deep cuts as well, stuff the EPs that you don't really hear too much. And it was like every single person in that room was singing, finger pointing, dancing, clapping, arm swaying. It was just very, very good vibes in that room.
A lot of love in the air.
Yeah.
Banging.
And then there's another one that I went to that I've held off talking about to you guys because I felt like it's probably a good opportunity for you guys to just sort of ask questions about it in a way, because within sort of the music scene, Sleep Token have absolutely taken over this year. And this was their Wembley show that I went to was seen as kind of a monumental moment for them, and for, I guess, in a way, the music scene in general. So, go on, ask me how it was.
Are you like some people on Twitter going to ask for a refund?
No, absolutely not.
Which
I
think is
really
ridiculous.
don't get that. I mean, that's one of the big talking points coming away from it, is that Vessel did kind of lose his voice partway through the show.
And I've seen some clips from earlier on where you hear it shaky, you hear it a bit wobbly.
Looking back, you don't
tell.
At the time, it's completely unnoticeable. You're kind of overwhelmed by the moment. It's really exciting, but it's only looking back at some of the footage where you kind of realise, he wasn't quite at his full range at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, about maybe 5 or 6 songs into the set, just after they played Rain, Sam, everything stopped, and then Sam, like I think it's a drum tech, but also like a chief sort of sound engineer for them as well. So it wanders out on stage with Vessel sort of pottering along behind him, kind of looking a bit shamed and embarrassed. And he takes up the mic and goes, "Hi everyone, hope you're well. Vessel can't sing, so he's going to stay on stage. The show's going to carry on, but we're going to need you to sing. He might sing a couple of lines, but he's not very well. So we need you to help." And it was a bit like what's going on here? Is that legit? Because obviously Sleep Token are kind of very lore-based. There's always lots of things going on. There were these theories that the show is kind of billed as the start of the new era for them. With Euclid, the artwork showing like this sort of figure holding Vessel's head. There was this big theory that Vessel was going to go through some kind of change and have a new outfit and a new mask. So we were kind of part of it. We kind of, at first we were like, oh shit, and then we were like, no, this is a bit. This is that Vessel's going through this change. They're going to be like, oh, he's not very well, and then he's going to sort of appear in this like new form or something towards the end of the show. But it became apparent after he didn't sing the next 3 songs. I think The Offering, Granite, and then something else
Love
as well.
You Want, I think.
Yes, it was The Love You Want. Yeah, didn't sing at all a single line in those 3 songs.
So
at that point, that's when we were like,
shit.
okay, that's too long to have been kind of fooling around or doing it as a joke.
This is legit.
Especially The Offering as well. That's
of course.
no, not The Offering. The Summoning. Sorry.
Summoning. Okay.
Like that being kind of their big song. That's the one that kind of went
Wouldn't be missing
viral at
that
the start
out.
of the year. That's not a song that he's going to not sing just for the sake of a little joke or like a little bit of suspense building. So yeah, it was after those 3 songs where we were like, shit.
how much vocals were in those 3 songs supported by like the Vesselettes and the other members?
The other members didn't really sing. I think 4 only really does the odd scream every now and then. But the Vesselettes, even in the songs that Vessel was singing, they sounded excellent.
But no, I mean,
and it
like,
became
did
a lot more
they
apparent.
kind of take?
Oh no,
over?
they didn't take over any of Vessel's lines. They just carried on doing what they would have done initially.
Right. And the crowd really just took over.
The crowd took over. Yeah, the crowd were brilliant. I mean, there's reports of people flooding out after the news being broken that he wouldn't be singing, but didn't see any of that from where I was.
I did wonder how close it sort of, in the moment, how close did it feel like the show was kind of derailed?
Again, like, I think there were people being like, is this legit? Is this not? Is it just a joke?
Because Glennie sent it to our group chat, and he was like, this is what's going on. And the first thing I said was, that's bullshit. That's a new mask reveal coming.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that's what a lot of people thought. But yeah, it was only after those next 3 songs where he didn't sing where we were a bit like, shit, this isn't great. And at the time, my feelings were, this started as one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, and now it's kind of got this thing overshadowing it. But
so the return then.
The return. They started playing the piano intro to Atlantic, and we thought, okay, this is either going to be a bit weird, and we're all going to have to sing as loud as we can, or he's going to be back. And as soon as the vocals came in, he started singing again. Again, he wasn't quite as full range. You could tell there was a bit of a strain going on, but he was back, and he was back for essentially the rest of the set from then on.
Wow.
So if you did walk out, you're lost, really.
I wonder what the fuck happened to him then.
Might have been from a lot of touring.
I think
they've had a busy year.
It's been a long year. I mean, there's a lot of colds and stuff going around, isn't there? So it could just be that he had a bit of a cold.
Because also, like, you hear, I know it's not really the same thing, but like Corey Taylor in the early days said that he would walk around all day with no voice, and then it was just a pure mentality thing that he would get on the stage and it would just reappear like in that moment. So it might have been that.
I mean, you look at bands
the
like
situation just sort of compelled his body to
label mates to
itself.
them holding absence cancelled shows this year towards the back half because Lucas losing his voice and wasn't well. I think happen.
The rock and roll lifestyle isn't a thing anymore, really. And I think it's probably partly a conscious decision to preserve Vessel's voice, because his voice is an important part of that band. Like, fair enough. I can see the argument where people are. I'd never demand a refund or shame the band at all. No. But there is certainly with Sleep Token there is an importance on Vessel's vocals.
And I
think part of him not singing was to preserve his voice, because if he carried on and went 100% through that show, just for the sake of it being the biggest show of their career so far, who knows how much permanent vocal damage it'd cause and what the rest of their career could look like.
Yeah, and
so I respect him for taking that little break.
They don't have anything booked, I think, until April, which is meant to be Australia, I believe.
Yeah.
Talking almost about comebacks with it, I've seen the videos of Chokehold, which they opened with, and originally didn't have 3 out there, and then he got a lovely little pop, I think, once he came out.
That's a nice little segue, that.
Yeah?
The comeback thing.
Like that,
yeah, I mean, obviously beforehand we'd seen the photos on Instagram of the new masks and outfits and stuff. So we're like, oh yeah, great, 3's back. That's cool. It's nice that he's come back for the Wembley show. And then they played basically half of the first verse and the intro of Chokehold with just the 3 of them on stage. And it was like, where is he then? We thought he was here. And then they'd deliberately held him back, obviously, to kind of get that big cheer from the crowd. And there was a massive cheer.
Big pop. You mentioned Euclid earlier. That was the one song I believe they hadn't played on tour. Everything else from the latest album had been played. And from what I know, it wasn't played.
Not everything. I don't think they've played everything.
Okay, maybe I've seen wrong then.
But no, everything. Everyone was expecting Euclid because of this kind of new era, and obviously the theme of that song is like moving on to being someone new.
And it didn't make
and
appearance?
it didn't get played. No,
that's a shame.
It seemed like the right time to do it. I think like it would have fitted.
I think it would have been, but
end the
again,
show with it. I think it would have been like the full ending of this era properly.
Yeah, but I guess it depends what kind of story they want to go for with the band. They're obviously saving it for something else,
or as well maybe if the vocal issues made them have a set change.
Who knows? Yeah, I mean the only difference in set was they added not Chokehold. They added Bloodsport onto the end as a bit of an encore. Yeah. Which
I saw that wasn't planned, and I've seen a set list where it's written on there because that was a very last minute decision that it wasn't meant to be played.
Well, it caught me off guard, and it is the moment that I finally cried during the gig. Mm-hmm. There were times where I had a bit of a lump in my throat, and partly from just feeling bad for the band and wanting to kind of root for them a bit, because obviously losing your voice and the biggest show of your career, Wembley Arena, and you could kind of hear when Vessel was singing, he kind of had a bit of a strain, a bit of like pain in his voice, and when they started playing Bloodsport, well, in fact, actually they played the summoning. It looked like the show was over. Everyone came on stage, the band, the crew, the Vesselettes. Everyone did like a big sort of bow, like you do at the end of a theatre show. And then Vessel, with everyone else was still on stage, and Vessel just left them all, went to the keyboard, the lights went red, and then they started Bloodsport. And I could kind of feel myself choking up a little bit. And then he started singing, and when he did the Let's Play bit, he did like a little sort of, like, you know that fake cry that he does quite a lot as like a theatrical thing? This wasn't fake. You just knew when you heard it, like that's a man breaking down in front of us. So that's the point with it, like that got me as well. That's when the waterworks started for me.
Yeah, I've seen some of the clips from that bit in particular. Production looked incredible.
Production was
Light show
amazing,
was
yes.
something very
Which I was
special
quite
for
relieved
Wembley.
by. We were in seated. We had seated tickets. We were like right at the back of the venue, so I was kind of hopeful that there'd be something for us to look at, essentially, and just. I mean, I know Enter Shikari are kind of famed for using lasers a lot in their live shows, but they put Shikari to shame with that. Just lasers galore. Dancers for The Rain and The Love You Want.
Were they dressed like the Love You Want video or not?
Couldn't really see, to be honest. But yeah, I think I've seen Sleep Token kind of just level up in front of us here. Like the change they've had just this year, from seeing them in January in like Bristol Academy, which is about 1,500 capacity, 2,000 capacity, to now Wembley Arena, like 12,250 people, sold out within about 5 minutes. I think easily could have done 2 or 3 nights if they really wanted to. Just seeing the demand for people looking for tickets. I think I mentioned to you guys that I might have some predictions that I wanted to say for the podcast. And I think we'll see Sleep Token do some kind of arena tour in the UK next year, like a full arena tour.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe ending with 2 nights at Ali Pali.
Yeah, potential. Festival appearance?
I don't think we'll get a UK festival appearance from them. I think they'll just do this arena tour.
I don't think we'll get anything from them in the
But I
festivals.
think they'll sell out this arena tour. And I think within the next 5 years, they'll headline Download Festival.
I would say
that show has convinced me that,
Yeah.
like I said, like I've seen them at so many different stages, and now seeing them headline an arena, I'm convinced that is an arena band. The production they had, considering that was the first time that they'd done any kind of big production like that, was immense. They've got massive backing from Live Nation. There was a lot of Live Nation representation there. Andy Copping, Cameron Hack, I think, was there, I believe. And they broke the merchandise record for Wembley Arena.
I would say, yeah.
Wow.
I saw about that.
Which I think just seeing the demand, like commercially,
£50 for a poster.
Yeah, it's
I
not
find
for
that
me.
a little bit.
It's not them. I think that's I think that's just Wembley prices. But that speaks volumes that people were willing to spend that kind of money. I just think as a band, they are nailing everything. They have brilliant music. They're brilliant musicians. Excellent live shows. Commercially and from a marketing perspective, they know exactly what they're doing. They're nailing absolutely everything. People are soaking up the music, soaking up the merchandise. And the big wigs in the music industry are seeing that, and they're going to want to take them under their wing and kind of sort of go with them on this. That's not me saying they're going to sell out or anything. That's me saying that the right people in the industry are going to be on Sleep Token's side. And I think just from seeing how much they're rising, it's like seeing a generational talent and a generational band kind of rising in front of our very eyes. And I think for that reason they'll be practically a borderline stadium band in sort of 10 years' time. Download headliners in 5 years.
People, we'll be talking about this band the way that like people in the 80s go, "Oh, I saw Metallica in some fucking stinky shithole club," or like Slipknot in '99. Like, well, I think we're really lucky to be and experiencing this.
My reaction, initial reaction, which you'll hopefully see in the kind of special vlog / recap video, which I hope to have out already. Hopefully by the time this video goes out. Hopefully by the time this podcast's out. My initial reaction was that was a historical event.
I got some things. I want to just go back to the gig momentarily. I want to circle back to some of the comparisons and the download thing in particular shortly. One question I've got left over for the gig is, you were seated. Would you rather have been standing and experienced it down there? From that perspective, were you happy with the seated position? What was your view if you were to go again and do this? No, not again. If you were to go for the first time and do this, because obviously you've done it now already, do you think you would have preferred being standing? Or where do you stand with that?
I mean, where do I stand?
Hey.
I think initially I was a bit kind of, for want of a better word, nervous about being seated so far back. But in hindsight, I think it comes down to the debate of gig etiquette. Because Callum sent me some footage to use. He was in the standing area, and there's so many people talking over everything. With people throwing up apparently all over the floor. So from just an anecdotal perspective there, I was quite happy to be seated. But at the same time, because they're a band that I've seen so many times and have seen in so many different venues, being seated right at the very back of the venue kind of put things in perspective to me of, like, I didn't have to turn around to see how many people there were behind me.
The growth of it as well.
Which I'd have to do if I was standing. I could kind of soak everything in kind of one go. The lights and the production, the band and the sound, because we were like back and centre, so the sound is like as good as it gets, basically. No one sort of bumping into us or doing anything to like annoy us. So yeah, in hindsight, I think I was better off seated and probably enjoyed it a lot more than I would have done standing. Would have been nice to have a bit of a mosh, but you know.
It does make me think a little bit, look back at when we saw them at Takedown.
Exactly,
that we will never see anything like that again. I think we were quite special to see in that kind of scenario. That's almost like saying we'd have seen like not in like early years doing that. I think this is it, and I think that's, you brought that up, Alex. I think this is a big comparison they're getting, and I'm going to reference a tweet that I'd screenshotted for this, because I think like people are making the Slipknot comparison, but I think maybe the views from some people is going the wrong way. And this is from someone who said, like, security asked me if Sleep Token is like the new Slipknot or something, and I said, yeah, you know what, they kind of are. And before Twitter kind of gets mad about it, not sonically, not based on the music, but you think of the visuals, the branding, the anonymity, obviously, changing the metal scene and the landscape. You think back to Not with Ozfest in '99 when that debut album came out. No one had fucking seen anything like that then. And this is changing the landscape again in a different way. You think of the blending of genres they're doing in particular. I think there is the comparison there that this is a modern day Slipknot, not musically, but in terms of representing and everything else they're doing as a band, which I think is fascinating and ties in, I think, with that growth and where they could be in the next few years.
But what they're doing is they're showing that you don't have to do things a set way. A lot of the music industry at the moment is, I mean, you hear so many stories from musicians where they've been told by their label that they have to make 5 TikToks a week and that they have to like do press and like make sort of personal appearances and style themselves a certain way, whereas Sleep Token, until very recently, they don't do any interviews, they don't have any like real strong, they've got personalities of course from like their stage presence.
They could walk past you in the street, you'd never know.
Yeah. So I mean, unless you're in the know. Yeah. I mean, it's easy enough to find out who they are.
Well,
if
also,
you want to, but
like, they've become a band that are like impossible to follow. Like, I know it's already booked and locked in, but the fact that they're, and I don't mean this in the sense that they're bigger than Bring Me, but it's almost, in retrospect now, looking at that lineup, thinking it's kind of silly that they're a support band on that tour, because it's like with Slipknot after they did that Coal Chamber tour, no band wanted them as a support anymore because they were just too good.
Festivals had to change the timings that Slipknot are on because bands did not want to follow them.
And I think it'll be this. I think that Bring Me tour will be the last time we see, unless they then support like Slipknot or.
It's got to be your big tier
But
bands.
like, yeah, as far as like amongst their own contemporaries, they won't support another band again. I don't think.
So talking a
But,
little
but,
bit.
that's another point though. Like one of the big appeals of Bring Me the Horizon is Ollie Sykes.
Yeah.
Is his personality, his persona, the way he acts, the way he presents himself. Like the Sleep Token, they don't really have a particular like persona. Again, yeah, they present themselves certain ways on stage. They have different quirks and things, but yeah, they're not putting up an Instagram story being like, all right, having some dinner or something.
So while talking about this is like 1 day removed from the first video interview that's gone out, which was two doing like 55-minute long thing with Drumeo, mostly filled with performances, but actually kind of having conversation, answering questions, probably a lot of it pre-done, knowing what the questions are, but being very open in terms of majoritively stuff like drum technique, rudiments, stuff like that. For if you're a drummer, you'd enjoy that side of it, influences, like citing Joey Jordison, things like that. But now they're starting to come out of their shell a little bit, and like Take Me Back to Eden, they've said is like an end of an era. We now have the new masks as well. Again, making the comparisons with Not, this is almost like when they made the change kind of going through from that self-titled to Iowa, when they became more well-known, when Corey had gone and done Stone Sour with Jim there, and you're like, oh, that's what they look like. Not that we're seeing what Sleep Token look like, but there's becoming more, I guess, comfortable with maybe being recognised and being less anonymous in some regard.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it as well, because there is a part of me that's sort of like,
I like the unified look.
yeah, and it's also like really no disrespect to Drumeo, but it's like this is the thing. This is the first like break in the like unified front, and it's for a drumming thing. It feels a bit like I'm kind of like just shrugging and just going, really, like.
I think the most biggest
bit
meaning
odd.
behind it though is endorsements.
I understand that, but also like Dan said, they've proved that you can thrive in the industry without having to do all of those sort of like bullshit kind of things. That
But this is also a new
people
era,
expect.
as they are saying themselves.
Well, that's my point. Is I
And with the
think
new masks.
you have to wonder that like because also they've like these albums are viewed as like a trilogy and like an end of an era sort of thing. That maybe this is a big sort of like this is them in a way saying the whole law and all that is sort of
I think it's done.
kind of done, or at least it's going to
Well, I mean,
have less importance placed on it.
anyone that's thought enough about the law should have realised by now that it's metaphorical.
Yeah.
There isn't actually a deity. They don't actually worship
Yeah,
a deity.
yeah.
They're not actually a cult. That deity is clearly like a metaphor or like a form of something that's been made into a being to kind of represent all these
Well, it's all
feelings.
about love, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about whoever. It's all about Vessel singing about.
It feels
Love.
like that was
So-
a big selling point at the start.
But
and
yeah,
now
that's
this is that
that's
moving
what's kind of
past it.
weird. Is
Yeah.
well, I guess let's talk about like the new masks and new looks as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I personally don't like it.
Why? Talk me through.
Yeah,
well,
why?
For a few, it's sort of a few reasons. I think we've kind of touched them in our group chat before, but it's not as unified.
Mm-hmm.
It feels too. The thing is, it's already hard enough being any sort of masked or anonymous or visually distinguished band without being compared to Slipknot.
Mm.
Like, and I just don't think they've helped themselves in that regard. I think,
Especially with there being a bit of a red theme going on as well.
yeah, and also I don't personally like that. Like, the outfits are as wildly different. Like, what I've liked on the recent tour that we've seen is they're wearing like frilled shirts and stuff, but
The
it's
clothing
still,
change,
but it
but it's
still
still like that
feels
look.
very like contained within what they were doing. Whereas the new stuff, like, I don't know,
The masks.
it just shocked me a bit, and also the fact that it's the three of them, but Vessel hasn't changed,
Yeah.
kind of is throwing me
feel-
off because that means that they're saving his change for something.
It should have all been done at the same time.
Either that or he's not changing.
Or he's not changing.
It
But
should
then
have
if
been
he's
done
not
together.
changing, but they're all looking a bit more, I don't know. The whole thing is just a bit odd. Like, I think this is a test of our patience to see how it shakes out, because there's probably a very, like, as always with Sleep Token, there's probably a very thought out, clear roadmap of what's happening and what they're going to do, and this is probably them going, let's just make people feel impatient and confused and annoyed. I think it's kind of by design, because it's worked. Because I'm just
Could
every
be.
time I look at it, I'm just like,
Mm.
what could have been? You could have just done this forever.
See, I'm a bit in the middle. I really like that. It's almost like it's a commitment that these other 3 members of the band are in Sleep. They are Sleep Token. They are part of the band.
It's not session members.
Yeah, it's not just Vessel. It's not just Vessel and 2. This is a band. They're sticking together, kind of thing. And I do like that the other members have kind of been given some kind of freedom of expression and a chance to kind of be themselves a bit with it. But it is almost like it's giving just a bit too much in a way.
I feel like
But again, it's a bit like the Architects thing, where it's like doesn't really matter what we think.
No, of course not. I think the masks themselves, like visually,
and I'll just add quickly if I can, the outfits are cool. I think they look cool. If you take away the fact that it's Sleep Token and you don't compare it to the old stuff, I think they look cool.
I think visually with the masks, there's a lot of similarities like you don't want to make with not. I think having I think it's 2's in particular. They all have it like variations, but 2's in particular has the Sleep Token logo like on the forehead, and that's something that was done with like J and V Man's masks, multiple other ones in particular as well, where like that logo is prominent in a certain area where it had like the 9-pointed staff and not. And I think there is weird, slight visual comparisons between 2's mask and then Corey from Self-Titled in Iowa, with the way it looks like dreads and things like that. There's a lot of visuals that can be brought from it. It doesn't feel as weirdly, although they're very unique, it doesn't make Sleep Token feel unique to me anymore. It feels like another masked band in a way.
It makes them unique within the band, but not within the
music scene.
Wider range of things.
They had something, and I get wanting to evolve, but I feel like if doing that as well, it should have been something done in a way of unison, and it doesn't feel like that. At
the end of the day, like it comes down to, in a year, if we get a new album or we get new music, I'm not going to be looking at the masks as I listen to it on Spotify. So it doesn't really matter. But
also, where I was sat at the gig, I couldn't see the masks anyway. So,
but for me, my personal opinion is it's like it's just taken a bit of glow away from their aura, just a smidge. But also, the whole people are talking about it, so maybe start
exactly
in the whole.
Exactly. They, like I said, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There'll be a reason for it.
So I want to close off with what you said earlier about download. You say 5 years. I feel like that. I think a 3 years minimum.
By the way, within 5 years, I think it could happen sooner.
3 years is a minimum. I feel like they would need to be at download once first. I don't think they'll just come straight away as a headliner.
Oh yeah, I say 5 years. Pardon?
They haven't played download before at all.
We've seen them there.
Oh no, of course we fucking have. Yeah. Fucking, I'm just,
God,
Christ,
Avalanche tent.
Jesus,
in, like,
yeah, I forgot that.
That's never happening again.
They've played the Dogtooth stage, and then we saw them on the Avalanche.
Okay, twice. Okay,
stage
my
as well.
brain is shit.
Do you think the next step for them is headlining second?
I think a headlining second, or
either they headline second, or they do the Architects thing.
I disagree,
or they maybe work
during the day.
Work with Live Nation. No, not the Architects slot. They do the Architects thing and work with Live Nation on this thing where they're like, we're not going to book you for download for about 3 years, but when we book you again, you're headlining. Build up that kind of demand for them.
Oh, I think that's what Architects are doing now.
No. Well, Architects didn't play for years, and then they played sub-headliner.
Yeah. I would agree, but then from a Live Nation perspective, from where they had Sleep Token there this year at Reading and Leeds, they need to not book them at Reading and Leeds. As much as how big and more mainstream Sleep Token are coming, if they're going to do that at download, they cannot be booked for Reading and Leeds.
This is going to become a bit of a boring music industry statement now, but what will likely happen is they'll come to some kind of contractual agreement of Live Nation will say, hey, we're not going to book you for download for a few years to build up this kind of demand, but we'll work with you on other shows. We'll book you in arenas. We'll take you to the other side of the world, whatever. So they'll still be working together on other stuff, most likely. That's the kind of luxury you have as a conglomerate the size of Live Nation.
But yeah, to your point, it's imperative that when it comes down to it, they go to download and not Reading and Leeds.
Yeah,
because they cannot go any time in between doing that.
And this is going to sound snobby. It won't be appreciated.
No, it won't
I don't
be.
think it would.
Just
I think
straight up wouldn't be appreciated by like
There's-
the majority of the.
there's
Reading
people I've
Elite's audience.
spoken to that discovered them at Reading and Leeds and like went to check them out, but they're beyond the kind of, you don't discover Sleep Token anymore. They're
You know,
They're-
who Sleep Token
yeah.
are.
Yeah, you
know
kind of
who
go
they
all
are.
in
Yeah.
as well.
You found them at this point already.
yeah, exactly.
You've heard the name. This is not
So
something new.
by now, I think it's redundant putting them on the Reading and Leeds lineup. I don't think there's
Agreed.
much point. Yeah,
I
and
think-
Download, they'll be down. If you book them at Download, they'd be headline. They'd probably headline the second stage if you booked them this year.
If Ghost can do it, they can do it,
Yeah.
especially after the
Yeah.
Wembley.
exactly.
Sure.
I feel like we need-
Whereas if you booked them at Reading and Leeds for next year, they'd
no,
they'd
disgusting.
be
That'd be
low
horrible.
down. They probably wouldn't be on the main stage, to be honest.
I think there
Um,
needs to be at least one album.
Yeah,
At bare minimum.
this is why I've put 5 years on it, because it'd be on the next album cycle.
And I'm going to throw a
Or
spanner
maybe
in
even the one
works.
after that,
Maybe.
depending how quickly
We'll
they
see.
release.
Yeah,
My
I'm leaning in, James.
other thing that maybe you agree or maybe you disagree that I could see happening, if Download are fucking idiots and fumble the bag, I could see them doing a Bloodstock headliner set.
No.
Why do you say
No.
no?
Because Download won't fumble that bag.
Download have
There's-
fumbled bags a few times before,
Yeah.
and they're stuck in their ways a little
I
bit.
think Sleep Token.
No, I think this year.
I think Sleep Token are Live Nation's like baby now.
they're the golden goose.
Yeah.
Potentially, but I still think there's
But
a
also-
it's not-
Also,
I don't
this
think
also-
it's likely.
this year's
I think it's a
we're
possibility.
arguing now. No, I think.
I love this. Was just meant to be the gig talk segment.
Yeah.
It's become an actual debate.
To be fair, we could just make this our discussion.
We could, to be fair.
And
It kind of has become
also,
a discussion now.
if talking about 2023 is just talking about sleep.
Yeah, we'll be just talking about Sleep
So-
There we
Token.
go then.
I think this year's Download lineup is proof that they're. This year's lineup to me is them holding their hands up and going, "Oh, hey, you guys were right. Maybe we should book more new bands and new headliners and bring the new generation in." So I don't think they. I'd be surprised if they fumble this.
I feel like that's a bit too soon to say that. I think I want to see a couple of years before I can make an assumption saying Download's changed.
But it's a good
Especially
first
with the
step. It's a
idea
really
that
good
next
first
year is
step.
supposedly like a big anniversary thing for Iron Maiden, and they're probably going to be there again.
Oh, what?
for-
Oh, I don't know.
Exactly, yeah. So I don't think we can say that, oh, Download has changed yet.
Yeah, but also one Iron Maiden headline set. If you throw in two like new bands or younger
If.
bands, yeah,
I love your faith in Download. I'm not 100% with my faith with Download yet,
No, that's
potentially,
fair
maybe.
I don't think. I also don't think
Well-
Bloodstock's the right.
Yeah,
I
that
can see
was
them- no, I can see
was
them fitting.
that was more the angle that I was coming from. That is that not that Download might fumble them, but more that they're not really a Bloodstock style band.
I disagree.
I think the kind of people that go to Bloodstock are the kind of people that hate Sleep Token.
Yeah,
The people
they're
that
the
go
kind
to
of people that
Bloodstock
say
are the ones
Sleep
going,
Token aren't metal.
"That's not metal."
I think as
I
I
agree.
disagree with some parts. I think yes to some degree,
I know that's.
but I
a,
also
yeah,
think
it's a bit
that
generous to be.
Bloodstock are also maybe more right now than Download a festival that may pull something out and surprise people for a band that some people might disagree with being a headliner status. In particular, maybe the Architects one. I know we saw them at Download and it was a big thing, but I don't think anyone really expected them to be headlining Bloodstock next year. And with them Malevolence such a high slot, I think for a UK festival, they're really championing UK music in particular. And I think it wouldn't be too surprising. I don't think it'd be a next like a 20. What would it be? 5, maybe a 26 potentially. I don't know. Again, it depends on contractual agreements that are made. I also think it would be silly for Sleep Token to sign a contractual obligation with anything, because I think they could, if money's involved now and they sign it, they'd be stupid too, because I think they'd be able to sign for so much more money in a couple of years' time instead. So I think
Yeah,
that,
the stock's
that's
definitely rising.
That's, I think, something to be aware of. I think
Yeah,
Bloodstock could do it, and I think they would surprise people by that, by being a festival that are willing to try something different. And Bloodstock for years has always been seen as the one that are going to have like the older heads of metal, the ones who are like 50s,
Yeah.
60s, your battle jackets, and they've got Architects there this year, next year headlining.
I think-
so I
I
think
think
they're trying new things with it.
You can
and I
get
think
away
that's
with
where it could
Architects, though.
be.
I think.
I think also like Bloodstock could get to them first,
That's where I think.
but that's not necessarily a good thing though.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. That's just my. I'm just putting out there something that I could see happening. I didn't say it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But I think
because I can see them saying, "Oh, you could headline next year." Sleep Token could say yes, but I think the better move is.
I agree, it's the better move. Download is the better move because
Also,
no one's had a meteoric rise like this that has headline Download.
You're using Architects as a comparison there. This might be controversial. I think Sleep Token are bigger than Architects.
Let me watch let me see a arena tour sell first, and then I'll probably agree with you. I just want to see the proof.
I think, I'm with you on that. I think I mean, I didn't really fully appreciate how big Sleep Token were until that show. But it's that show that's convinced me that this band's taking over the world.
Wembley Arena.
And I don't think it's sold out.
But that's also them on an arena tour.
On a full tour.
And this would be everyone gathering just for London for Sleep Token for one big date because this has never been done before.
Well, that's the only thing that makes
this is a multiple tour thing and they're going across the UK, yes, it would probably sell out. Would it sell out as quick? And how would that affect the other arenas? I would like to see, not that we're going to get it, it'll be fascinating to see the numbers of it all, but it'll be interesting to see how quick certain dates may sell out from a Sleep Token arena tour that happens. I can completely agree with where you're coming from. I just want to see the visuals and see the poster and see what will happen.
Yeah, you're just not
before
fully
I can say that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But I agree with you like saying Sleep Token have had a meteoric rise unlike anything recently. And
like I said, I think they keep going as well.
I don't see anything stopping necessarily at the moment.
They're saying this is the start of a new era. I think this new era is we're an arena band now.
I agree, 100% agree.
And I think it's that kind of acceptance of that.
I do agree.
That's just mad, though, isn't it? Like, when you seriously think about the venue we saw them in at the start of the year.
Both venues.
What do you mean? Oh, you went to
O2 Academy and then we had Takedown. You were O2 Academy as well, weren't you?
Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant as in you went to 2 dates of the tour.
No.
I'll tell you what.
And already that venue was rammed. And that was just as they were blowing up.
Sarah and Kai.
You nailed it.
They lucked out with that, didn't they?
That might be all-time top 3 bookings for timing.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing them a disservice there.
Yeah. They fucking
I mean, they'll probably admit that it was lucky. But
it
also...
perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way...
Perfect.
I find that, I think, Takedown kind of do have their pulse very well on, like, music scene in particular.
Creeper for next year's
I think
brilliant.
And you look at some of the bands like underneath it, like they do have their pulse on it extremely well. So I think it's very skillful for them to do what they've done with it. But I can't see them.
But
ever,
also
like,
consider that. Consider that it could conceivably be that the next headline festival slot that Sleep Token do could be Download, meaning that they've essentially jumped from headlining Takedown to Download. How mad is that? Like, that's bands normally should go through like Tree, Slam Dunk.
You work your way up the roster.
So many, but like that is conceivable that they could make that jump, and a big portion of that jump is made on one album cycle. That's fucked, isn't it?
Oh, well, a big portion of that jump was made from 2 songs.
Yeah, social media,
Chokehold and The Summoning.
People say TikTok's bad for the industry. That's proof positive that it can change people's lives.
And Finn McKenzie said yesterday or something like metal and alternative music's dying.
Well, he's a fucking idiot though.
He is.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Finn. So in summary, this is turning from an extended gig talk into a whole discussion. You had a great time at Sleep Token in Wembley, yes?
I had a really nice time.
You had a really nice time.
Yeah, genuinely, like, to take it back to gig talk.
Take me back to gig talk.
Take me back so far.
I laughed so much I farted.
I know the point where you're cutting that.
You'll leave it in.
I hope the mic picked that. Sure it did.
I did in a minute.
Which one is it?
Go on. You're saying.
I can't focus now. Yeah, for the year and the rise that Sleep Token have had, that gig just felt like the absolute kind of moment of acceptance from them and from the crowd as well, that they are like an arena band, that they can do that they're fucking massive. And it was a beautiful, emotional night of the crowd carrying the band through and the band putting on a phenomenal performance as well. And you could tell how much it meant to them. And
then when you package into that as well, potential album of the year candidate, We'll take you back to Eden. Just the buzz they've had from, like you say, starting this year, chokehold and summoning, and then this is how they've ended it.
And
what a 2023
and also,
arc.
like, they're a band that their masks, you can't really, they don't speak, you don't really, but they still convey like so much emotion just from Vessel's voice, just from
Performance.
the body language, the movement and performance on stage. You could tell that meant the absolute world to them, that show, to have that many people turn out for them.
And this will end our Sleep Token sermon for the day.
And now he rests.
All the gigs wrapped up for 2023. We had a lot of gigs. We've mentioned some throughout this today. So many of them are on the channel. Go and watch the vlogs. Have a wonderful time this Christmas period and just be nostalgic with live music, getting ready for January. If you've got them booked in January, or if you're looking forward to festival season already, like from what we talked about, go and watch our festival vlogs from Slam Dunk, Trees, Takedown, Download. I'm forgetting Misery Loves Company, Burn It Down. I think that's all of them. I hope
It's
that's all
probably
of them.
not all of them, but
there might even be more. Who knows?
It's been a stacked year. We've had an amazing time.
Exactly.
And we're very grateful that you guys have been along for the ride. If you want to be among the first to find out what we're doing in 2024, join us in the Ragamuffin Club Facebook group.
Cheeky plug.
Because we'll be letting everyone in there know first.
Exactly. Come join in with the festivities. Be a ragamuffin. Exactly. Just that.
And that's about it. That's our 2023 drawing to a close. No album recs this time. We're going to circle back in January to talk about our favourite recommendations from the year. So, in the meantime, I guess...
Listen to Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah, well, listen to your favourite Christmas song. Maybe let us know in the comments what it is. And from all of us here, we wish you the happiest holiday season possible.
See you in 2024, rock and rollers.
Awards coming soon. Woo!